So if you're anything like me, you've got about 2,000 pounds of leftover ham after every single holiday that you throw. And because there's only so many ham sandwiches you can eat, I'm gonna stick to my first love, and that's soup. So I'm gonna show you how to make an absolutely delicious ham and bean soup recipe you are gonna absolutely love. One of my favorite things about this recipe is most of the ingredients you're already gonna have in your cupboards or your refrigerator, so there's no need to go to the grocery store, make a whole list. It's all about using leftovers and what you got in this recipe. What we're gonna do to start off this recipe is soak some navy beans overnight. I've got about 1.5 pounds here. You know me, I love to make a whole bunch of soup because it always freezes so well. So add it to a plastic container. And then what I'm gonna do is just go over to the sink, fill it up with water. I'm gonna go all the way to the top here. Believe it or not, these beans are gonna soak up all this water. And the process of doing this is so that the beans cook quick once they've soaked up all that water. And it usually takes overnight or 24 hours. So go ahead, put the lid on there and put it in a nice dry place until tomorrow. And yes, there are a few options here, especially if you don't want to wait for the whole bean soaking process. You can obviously use canned beans, totally fine. Another quick trick is boil some water, pour it over the beans, let it sit for 1 hour. It's just about the same effect that you'll have by soaking them overnight. Now, we are going to start prepping up the ingredients that are going in the soup, beginning with a large yellow onion. Just simply slice off the ends, cut it in half, and then of course take off that outside hard peeling, obviously no good in soups, and then small to medium diced it. It's okay if it's a little bit larger. We are going to cook it for a good amount of time. So add it to a bowl. Then what we're going to do is take it right over to the cooktop. I've got a very large pot over low to medium heat. Going to add in some unsalted butter. Next, going to hit it with those onions. And again, the goal here is we want to caramelize and cook them till they're nice and golden brown. Bring out all those natural sugars. This will make this soup, I promise you, taste that much better. I did the same process in my homemade spaghetti sauce if you haven't checked out that video. While they are cooking, this is great timing to prep up everything else. So I've got a few large carrots. Obviously, just peel them until all the peelings are off. And then I'm going to medium to large dice these. You could do it smaller or a little bit larger. I'm going on the smaller side here. So again, small to medium dice. And then we're going to do the exact same thing with celery stalks. I've got 3 celery stalks, and again, small to medium dice them. It's going to be okay if they're a little larger. Don't stress out. Now I'm going to run some garlic cloves through a garlic press. Like I always say, I am over chopping garlic in this life. Slice off all that goodness right into a bowl and set it to the side. Now, a couple other things you could add in there if you're going to try to pull as much flavor as possible from this soup. You can add in some leeks, some fresh rosemary, some fresh parsley, just like that bouquet garni in my coq au vin video that you can check out. But you don't need to do it. Like I always say, use what you got. Now, go ahead and take out all of that leftover goodness ham from your holidays. I've got a big old bone and of course, quite a bit of random sliced ham pieces. What I'm going to do is medium to large dice these, and don't worry, it's going to cook for a good amount of time, so the ham's going to become more tender and break down a little bit. So let's take the ham and all of those vegetables we prepped up back over to the cooktop. We are going to give the onions a little look, and as you can see right here, they are nice and caramelized and brown, soft, super sweet. This is perfect. We're going to start off by adding in the carrots. Next, we're going to hit it with the celery. And then, of course, we're going to add in the finely minced garlic. We're just going to sweat these vegetables for maybe 4 to 5 minutes on low to medium heat. We're not looking for some caramelization with the carrots and celery, just to soften them up, get some of those flavors out. And then at this point, we're going to deglaze with some white wine. This part is optional. I just think it adds a lot of flavor. We're going to cook it down until there's maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons left, just like you see here. This is perfect. And then at this point, add in that medium to large diced ham. This is just going to be so delicious. Cannot wait, you guys, straight up. And now add in that big old brontosaurus bone in there. Now, one of the biggest things in this recipe is the bone. That's such a huge leftover part of every single holiday meal when you get done. This is such a great way to utilize it. Now, you don't have to, but I strongly recommend it. If you want to make this recipe and it's not after a holiday, you can absolutely substitute in a smoked ham hock. Lots of flavor there. You'll get the same effect. Here's what we're going to do now. Go ahead and pull out those beans. Just like I said, they are all the way to the top and soaked up most of the water. That's what you're looking for. So take them back over to the kitchen sink. I've got a little strainer in there. We're just going to get all that water off there. And for me, it's not necessary, but I'm just going to rinse them with a little bit of cold water. They've been sitting at that same water for like 24 hours, so it might be a little funky. After that, give it a little shake. Go back over to that cooktop. Add all those beans in there, my friends. And you could also sub for kidney beans or even great northern beans, but navy is where it's at for me. And now I've got some chicken stock that I'm going to add in there. Going to add, obviously, lots of great flavor. I've got a homemade recipe you should definitely use and check out. Next, we're going to add in a Parmesan rind. I just happen to have one laying around. You don't have to do it, but I had one, so I'm going to do it. But definitely add in some fresh thyme. Going to pull a ton of flavor there. We're going to add the lid on low heat for 90 to 120 minutes until those beans are completely broken down. So obviously one of the main goals is to pull as much flavor into the soup as possible, but it's also to cook it until the beans break down. Now we're not looking for mashed bean soup by any stretch. We still want to see some whole beans in there, but if some are breaking down and falling apart, totally fine. It helps thicken up the soup and of course flavor it up. And this soup is not overly beautiful. There's not tons of vegetables or tomatoes to give it that nice red flavor. I mean, it's beans, ham, and a few vegetables. That's it. But it is going to be dang delicious. That I can promise you, my friends. Now, let's finish it up. Go ahead and take off the top and boom. The smells in here are seriously ridiculous. You will love it. We're going to finish it off, though. First, with a little bit of white wine vinegar, some nice acid to help finish it. Next, of course, we're going to season it very well with sea salt and pepper. Remember, season once, taste twice. Taste it, season it, taste it again, make sure it's good. If you need to add more, then do it. Give it a little stir, get all those ingredients going. We are just going to simply remove it off of the cooktop. Take it back over to the countertop where we're going to serve it, and I can hardly wait to eat this, you guys. And I've said it 8 million times to all my comies. You understand these fundamental techniques. You put them into your everyday cooking, like how to use leftovers to make an insanely delicious classic dish like this ham and beans soup. How to use a little bit of acid to help pull more flavor out at the end. These little things. You put them into your everyday cooking, even scrambled eggs, it doesn't matter. Everything will taste so much better. Remember, when you make food homemade from scratch, it's always better. There's no reason to ever eat anywhere else but your own kitchen. I promise you that. Now let's plate up in slow-mo. Obviously, you're going to serve this into a bowl. I mean, I suppose you could serve it on a plate. That would just be kind of goofy and weird. But the flavors in here are incredible. What I like to do is usually finish with a little bit of fresh grated Parmesan cheese. And for a little greenery, some finely chopped parsley. And man, oh man, check out this beauty. This is the absolute perfect recipe. If you have a ton of leftover ham and you're sick of eating sandwiches, it's so good, so easy to make. You saw it. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, check out this video. I made it just for you and you will love it. We'll see you on there.